Scrolling on Instagram yesterday, I saw a post from a little girl named Renad. It read, "I can't believe that we are enduring this once again. I felt like the whole building was exploded above my head. I'm hearing the ambulance's sounds everywhere now." Renad is 11 years old. She's a kid, and she lives in Gaza. Her account, Renad from Gaza, is full of her making delicious recipes with whatever she can get her hands on. She's making do, and then she shares it with all of us and with her community. But last night, her Instagram story just read, "I'm scared." Because Israel just broke the ceasefire, which they weren't doing a great job of respecting in the first place, with a brutal bombardment of Gaza. Israel killed over 400 Palestinians in the attack. And do you know how many in Western media framed these attacks? As journalist Sana Saeed pointed out, many Western media stories said that these were airstrikes against Hamas. I dug up some of these examples myself. From NBC, Israel's military strikes Hamas targets in Gaza. From Bloomberg, Israel launches strikes against Hamas in Gaza. From Axios, Israel resumes war in Gaza with airstrikes against Hamas. Let's be extremely clear here. The Israeli bombardment killed multiple children. There is proof of this. Videos circulating, including to their credit on CBC's The National last night, showed injured kids. Rami Abdu, the chairman of the Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor, shared with social media that his sister and all her family who was with her, including small children, were killed in the Israeli strikes. How can anyone justify this? How can anyone look at this and say with a straight face that Israel struck Hamas targets? And this latest bout of horrors comes as Israel has been denying Gaza humanitarian aid and electricity, which Médecins Sans Frontières said amounts to collective punishment. Collective punishment violates the Geneva Conventions. Meanwhile, according to reporting from Zateo and from statements from the White House press secretary herself, these attacks were apparently fully coordinated with the Trump administration. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu came out today and said this was, quote, "just the beginning." And that, quote, "nothing will stop us from achieving all our war aims." What are those aims? Because your tactics, which both Amnesty International and a UN Special Committee have determined amount to genocide, suggest that hostages aren't your priority here. In fact, the family members of those hostages are accusing you, Netanyahu, of sacrificing their loved ones as you resume these strikes. I do also think it's important to clarify that while this is the most explicit moment of Israel breaking the ceasefire, it's hardly the first time they've been accused of violating the agreement. In a letter sent to the UN on March 7th, the permanent observer of Palestine to the United Nations observed that in the 42 days that the ceasefire had by then been in effect, there had been 962 documented violations of the ceasefire by Israel, including, quote, "the killing of 116 Palestinian civilians, including children, and the wounding of 490 people. As author Omar El-Akkad said, "one day, everyone will have always been against this." But for the sake of kids like Renad, a scared 11-year-old who's just trying to survive in Gaza, can we please all be against this now? And I don't even know if anyone's going to see this video because the algorithm just totally suppresses these kinds of conversations because it's not advertiser friendly to talk about children being killed, but it's happening and we have the power to pressure our governments to do something about it. You know in your gut that seeing this means something is wrong. This is wrong. No 11-year-old should be posting that on their Instagram stories as people around them are being killed. So why is that such a hard thing for our media and politicians to accept and act on? What do you think of all this?